Dave, 4 points in the last 2 league games. You've got that first win of the season off your back last Saturday. Do you feel like things are heading in the right direction now?
Well, they have to be because we didn't get any in the first two. So yeah, it does. It's always important to get that first win. We would like it to have been more comfortable, but nevertheless we're on the board and looking forward to Saturday's game.
You said on Tuesday, obviously, that the players that started that game didn't really do enough, didn't show you enough on the night, but the players that came off the bench seemed to make a real difference. And Tanto Alaf in particular is someone that's had a real impact in the last 3 games. Where do you feel like he's at in terms of his performances at the minute?
Yeah, listen, I think T, since he came in, really, we know what type of player he is. He's all action, powerful, quick. Sometimes he needs to be able to slow himself down to make sure his technique's right, to allow the chances he gets and creates for himself or others create for him, that he sticks away and be more consistent in that finishing part of his game. Because if he adds that, then he becomes, like I said, different animal, a different player. But he's certainly a threat with his pace, which is something that everybody, all defenders, absolutely hate playing against. And there's still loads of development in him. He's 23. He's, fledgling in terms of his Football League career. And I'm convinced he'll go on to be better and better, or get better and better each game. You obviously get confidence with scoring goals. Two penalties on Tuesday night. Well, again, excuse me, doing the world of good. So hopefully he can get himself into a little bit of run now in terms of goal scoring, and 1 becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes 10 very quickly.
I don't want to sit here and talk too much about refereeing decisions, but it's 4 games in a row now that you've received an apology and acknowledgement from the PGMOL regarding decisions that have gone against you. Without using it as an excuse, it doesn't help, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't help. And I suppose what you hope is that all these people that say things level themselves out over the course of the season are right. I suppose there could be an argument, listen, on Saturday's game, there can be an argument that says Noyley should be sent off, and then we'd have 10 men, and 30 seconds later they should be down to 10 men and we should have a penalty. So maybe things level themselves off in those instances, but I hope the people that do say that are right at the end of the season, and we pick up at least 3 penalties that are totally unjustified somewhere along the way.
Just in terms of injuries, I think Mac has made it 8 out on Tuesday night. Will anyone be back in contention for Saturday? I know you mentioned it as a possibility last week for Sars and Nick Powell.
Yeah, there's a possibility, but I suppose we're having to be probably in a wrong way ultra safe. Like I say, Burner is now out from Tuesday's game, and we're picking up horrific injuries that aren't, in the main, aren't 2 or 3 week injuries. He's going to be out for the foreseeable future, so that's another one ticked off. We have 9 senior pros in the physio room. It's not great. So with that becomes, I suppose, more trepidation from our perspective, and not wanting to risk anybody, because especially now coming into the, I suppose, Saturday fixtures, if we miss 1 game and people are 100% fit for next Saturday, is it a better option? We've got to make a judgment call on Sars and Nick in particular. The other 7 certainly won't be involved at the weekend. That's the situation we find ourselves. Like I say, people have adversity at different parts of the season. We had it at the back end of last season with the injuries, and we've had a carryover into the start of this season, and we can't buy a break at the moment.
Are you able to put your finger on why that might be? Because it probably stretches back to about December, January time now in terms of the injuries. Does it just come down to bad luck in some circumstance?
It does in lots of circumstances. Listen, I suppose you can look and overlook at muscle injuries. We don't have many, if any, muscle injuries. The 2 muscle injuries do have a short-term little niggles that we're potentially being protective against and don't want to push to make them more severe. We've got 2 shoulders from, again, landing on your shoulder, funny enough, and that's going to happen in football matches. We've got 2 virtually ruptured LCLs, which I've never had or never heard of one in 20 odd years of being in football, and we've got 2. We've got an ACL which happened with no one near him. We've got another knee with Woods, who picked up the injury after 10 minutes of a game, managed to complete the other 80 plus minutes, and if we'd not had it scanned, we'd probably would have been in a situation where we'd have carried on playing him. They're absolutely freak injuries. We just have unfortunately picked them up all at the same time, and worryingly keep picking them up. Listen, even from a medical perspective, we've looked at everything, and there's not a great deal more we can do, apart from not train and not play games, and unfortunately that's what we're paid to do.
I guess the obvious question as well is how much do those injuries have a knock-on effect in terms of your approach to the transfer market? Does it change in terms of like the positions that you're having to prioritise now going forward?
Yeah, it does, because a week ago we wouldn't have been looking at to potentially bring in a centre-back, but now we have to look at where we're at with that, because we have the anomaly of the players out. We have some experienced ones. We have Ibby away on international duty twice between now and when the window closes and the next window opens. So we have to make sure we've got enough cover, obviously, to get ourselves through. We're probably going to be in a situation where we bring players in, and then hopefully come the middle of October we've got miles too many players that we potentially need, because we due to have quite a few back around that period. But obviously at that point you're a third way through the season, and we've got to make sure that we're in contention, and not having to rely on what we do in the remaining 2/3 to give ourselves a chance.
Back to the weekend, just looking at Mansfield, and I think when you look at the data, it's similar to County, really, a side where performances maybe haven't necessarily been reflected in the results that they've got so far, but when you look at that kind of data, it's a big test at the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, tough place to go. I think, listen, they're having their own issues themselves with injuries, and I think they've 2 centre halves that have gone down. So, but it's always a challenging place to go. A team that were, like I say, were right in it last year, until the very end when they dropped out, and I'm sure we'll be up there again this year. Like I say, performances wise, they're pretty similar to where they were last year in terms of personnel. We've got to, like I say, we've got to focus on us. We've got, as they will be saying the same, we've got enough issues in our own camp to make sure that we have to focus on what we need to do there to go and get a result. Probably, well, not mixed emotions last year against them in terms of how the games went. In front away from home and lost the game. Again, got another apology from PJ on that occasion. And at home, played really well in the game. Didn't take our chances and were pegged back virtually the last kick in terms of an equaliser. So we go there, like I say, we go there in a good place, great place to play, really good atmosphere. Our fans will absolutely travel in their numbers, and looking forward to it.
I suppose in normal circumstances, a point at Mansfield would be viewed as quite a positive result, but in the context of the start you've had, is that still the case? Is there more of a pressure, if you like, to win the game on Saturday? Not
really. Listen, the pressure on to win every game, and we go out to try and win every game. Again, ask me after the game and I'll tell you whether a point's a good result. If we've been absolutely horrendous and been battered, and we get a point, then it might be a decent point, but we'll go there looking to win the game. Hopefully that will be the case, and we'll do everything we can to make that happen. If that's, like I say, if that's not the case, we can review it afterwards, but certainly asking me now, we're going there to try and get 3 points, and 3 points will be massively helpful for us.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.